How does yoga help in dopamine detoxification? Are you feeling ensnared by the never-ending scroll of social media feeds or the persistent allure of e-commerce? You're not by yourself. In the current digital era, it is simple to become engrossed in the never-ending cycle of digital distractions, which leaves us exhausted and cut off from reality. What if I told you, though, that there is a way to end this cycle and get back your sense of equilibrium and well-being? Let's introduce the idea of a dopamine detox. This popular theory proposes that in order to reset and regenerate the brain, one should take a break from activities that release dopamine, such as browsing social media and shopping online. Yoga is a holistic discipline that has its origins in ancient India and dates back thousands of years. It's not just about doing poses. It gives us a haven from the chaos of the digital world and a means of re-establishing our connections to one another and the outside world. Yoga helps us to become more present and self-aware by teaching us to quiet our brains and move our bodies while practicing mindfulness and breath work. Join us as we explore the transforming potential of a dopamine detox with the guiding light of yoga by our side if you're ready to release yourself from the grasp of dopamine overload and go on a journey of self-discovery. What is dopamine? Dopamine, a neurotransmitter, regulates reward-motivated behavior, motivation, and pleasure. It's released during pleasurable experiences, like savoring a delicious meal or accomplishing a goal. However, low dopamine levels can lead to depression, lack of motivation, and difficulty concentrating. Often dubbed pleasure chemical, dopamine triggers the brain's pleasure and reward centers, driving us to repeat rewarding behaviors. However, excessive dopamine release, often triggered by activities or substances, can lead to addiction and disrupt mood and mental health. The brain carefully monitors dopamine levels, conserving production to maintain balance. However, modern life's constant stimuli, such as social media notifications and ads, can overwhelm this delicate balance, leading to dopamine overload. How does dopamine affect our brain? Addiction can profoundly affect every aspect of your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. It's recognized as a brain disease by modern medicine because it can alter the pleasure circuits in your brain. These circuits, evolved over millennia, originally developed to reinforce behaviors necessary for survival, like eating. When something triggers your brain's reward system, such as eating, it releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure. However, activities like pornography and drugs can cause a much larger release of dopamine, up to 10 times more than natural rewards. Over time, your brain becomes accustomed to this heightened level of dopamine and becomes less responsive to it. This desensitization means you need more of the drug to achieve the same effect, leading to tolerance. Having an addiction doesn't reflect on your character, it's a result of changes in brain chemistry. Once your brain adapts to the increased dopamine levels, it becomes wired to seek out drugs or alcohol. Additionally, addiction can impair memory and learning functions. What is dopamine addiction? Dopamine addiction occurs when someone relies on activities or substances that trigger dopamine release to experience pleasure or reward. This can result in compulsive behaviors like gambling, drug abuse, or overeating. Such addiction can alter the brain's reward system, causing a tolerance to the substance or activity that induces dopamine release. Over time, dopamine addiction can lead to significant physical and mental health issues. List of activities indicating dopamine overload. Activities indicative of dopamine addiction. Gambling. Compulsive gambling is a prevalent manifestation of dopamine addiction. Individuals may find themselves unable to resist the urge to gamble, despite knowing the adverse consequences. Drug use. Substances like cocaine, methamphetamine, and heroin can trigger dopamine addiction by inducing pleasurable sensations in the brain. Overeating. Excessive food consumption can signal dopamine addiction, with individuals experiencing difficulty resisting the urge to eat, even when not hungry. Shopping. Compulsive shopping behavior is another hallmark of dopamine addiction, characterized by the inability to refrain from unnecessary purchases. Pornography. Frequent engagement in viewing pornographic material may indicate dopamine addiction, with individuals struggling to control the urge despite its negative impact. Masturbation. Excessive masturbation can also be linked to dopamine addiction, with individuals finding it challenging to refrain from the behavior even when aware of its harmful effects. Online addiction, excessive internet and digital device usage, encompassing activities like social media,